slap on a fake smile and jump into my shitty act if I'm not having fun, if I'm not feeling it, and people will smell it.
It's amazing to me how many comics have sat on this podcast and described their act as shitty. Like Dave Attell going, I'm the fucking worst. And it's like, no, you're the guy you're the guy.
Yeah.
And Colin Quinn, like,
my act is a dog whistle, I make like 2 people laugh, and everybody's like, there's something about you. I can't quite put my finger on it. I'm like, it's the story of my life.
like everyone, one after the other. And then I go up with my dog shit act. It's like none of us think what we're saying is particularly great.
Well, because we're hearing it all the time, and it's like it's coming out of our own heads.
The reason you're at the building is because people want to hear those exact shitty things that you say.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's a really weird, what is wrong with us?
I mean, it's just a shorthand of, it's just self-deprecating. It's we all fucking hate ourselves.
When you do a special, you have to tell the network
what you're going
to do, and then subsequently to help you just keep it tight. I'm telling the audience, not you, because you're a fucking boss, for crying out loud.
Goddamn mob boss sitting here, This guy ran South Philly. Brendon Walsh was one of the young guys on the corner. He had to walk around across the street.
You want to something weird? There was a kid, Brendon Walsh. I never wanted to go near him, man. You have to put certain words. Like I would go up and at the end it would be like walking, Keitel.
Right.
Like that would be my last couple things. But up front, and you have to you have to put a word that would trigger 3-4 minutes. You said, you'll put the word Microsoft, and then after that it'll say voicemail.
Yeah.
But when you start having a good time when you're filming your thing and you go off the reservation, how does the teleprompter guy know what to put up next? Or at that point, are you just driving into the sun saying fuck it?
I don't know. I haven't taped it yet. So.
Oh, I thought you did it on the John Oliver thing.
Oh, John Oliver. Those were short little sets. They were 10-minute things, so they. I stuck to what I was going to do, because 10 minutes isn't. If you start going off book, then that could be disastrous.
Don't you find it amazing? The John Oliver show, you do 10 minutes, and it's a concise. I'm just going to kick him in the face, 10 minutes, boom, boom, boom. But then, like you just said, in San Francisco, you're doing 20, 25 minutes. The first 10 minutes is nothing that you thought of saying.
No.
And it's something you have no idea what you said, but you were killing.
Yeah.
I think this a lot. If I could string together that 10 minutes that I've forgotten, that I've done in the last 8 months, I would have 4 new hours of material.
Yeah. Well, just... bring your phone. I very rarely listen to it, but I bring my phone on stage.
You don't listen. That's the thing.
I record every set, but I don't listen to them.
It's brutal to listen to yourself do comedy.
Well, if I have a few drinks in me, I can. If I start,
then you're Hemingway. You're up in an attic drinking. The old man,
yeah. I'm I'm not so bad. I'm gonna listen to my set, and I will listen to it if there's if something like that does happen, where there's there's a bit. And it goes different. I go and, there's always when you're on stage, you're like, oh shit, I got to remember that. That was good. That makes that whole bit better. But then you never remember it. So
never.
That's where the phone comes in handy. Even if I only listen to one set a year, it's all worth it because there's that. It's oh, that's what I should say. Cause there'll be that one little magic moment in a bit where you just make it better by
you have a different bridge to a different place that connects it all. You know what I did? Is I picked up my book, No Wonder My Parents Drank.
Okay.
And I was like, oh my God, the Kayak story.
Oh, yeah.
And I was like, there's so much stuff that when I was writing a book, I never realized it came from stand-up. That's why I thought I should write a book about parenting.
Right.
Because I had all this abundance of, how do I have a kid? How am I in charge? No wonder my parents were drunk all the time. These kids, they're fucking maniacs. It's like owning chimpanzees.
Yeah.
I took my son to a kayak. What's your son's name? Jack?
Trevor.
I wasn't even close. And your son has his own Twitter account.
Trevor_Walsh.
At Trevor_Walsh. And it's a recommended follow every single time I'm on Twitter at JMohr37. And it wasn't until a month ago Segura told me that was your son.
Uh-huh.
I swear to you, I blocked your son because I thought it was that guy from America's Most Wanted.
Oh, John Walsh.
I thought it was John Walsh's. I thought it was like a creepy, like Amber Alert Twitter account.
Yeah.
And I'm like, what a creepy fucking thing to keep
Yeah,
shoving down my throat. I don't want your cosmetics. I don't want this. I don't want Albert Brooks or Steve.
Follow Citibank.
Yeah. And then I'm like, wow, we get it, man.
Yeah.
Like, really? You're going to Twitter to?
What was his son's name?
I don't know.
That was
It
famous.
was Trevor Walsh.
Well, I don't think his son was Trevor.
I'll
But
look
yeah,
it up
Trev
right
lives in Philly
With your ex-wife.
with Trish, my
And
ex.
your son's tweets are really freaking funny.
He's pretty funny. Sometimes I gotta step in and tell him to tone it down. Or
How old is your son?
he's 9.
And he, at 9 years old, knows to get on the Twitter, and he knows when to. This is what fascinates me about your son's Twitter account, is he actually knows when to push the envelope.
Yeah.
And you read these tweets and you go, this isn't I think it's the first time I've ever thought this, ever, about a child. He's probably going to be a comic.
Maybe. Or
What? I mean, or he's going to be like Michael Hitchens, like no 8-year-old knows to push the envelope and get right up to the Whitney Houston stuff
He's
and
a
then
smart
dial
aleck.
it back.
Yeah, no, him and his mother like to bust my chops on Twitter a lot.
That's amazing, though. But his mom's not helping him, which is what makes me.
She's a piece of work, to say the least.
Well, what do you mean?
She's just, she's like
Adam Walsh.
Oh, Adam, that's right. Yeah.
I wish it was Trevor. That would have been too spooky.
Oh, no. I knew it wasn't Trevor, but I couldn't place it. They made that TV movie about that. Either way.
So he was at John
Trish
Walsh.
is a party chick. She's still, whatever. She's always like,
and she tweets and breaks your balls relentlessly,
Yeah,
too. You have your entire family on Twitter crushing you.
Yeah, I know. It's,
Well, let's not give out her account. Screw her. Follow Trevor_Walsh.
I mean, you can follow Trish, too.
No, we don't want to follow Trish.
Yeah.
At the Brent Barbary of comedian wives.
Yeah.
And God, if she just waited, she would have had Mike Piazza or Charles Johnson.
Yeah, well,
What a hit, or
think long term.
What a hit.
I have trouble with that, thinking about the bigger picture, and like you'll argue about like money or something with a gig, and you just don't think of the bigger picture, or at least me. Like it's like, oh, these like little things. Sometimes I get focused on little bullshit.
Yeah.
Where it's like, well, this doesn't matter in the long run. Like, you got to let some shit slide here and there.
It's hard though, especially when you do TV.
Yeah.
They say you got to let stuff slide off your back. But speaking from like when you wear a producer hat, it goes nonstop from the moment you wake up, from well after you've fallen asleep. It's like Chinese water torture of shit that you're letting roll off your back, and eventually you want to go, I don't give a fuck.
Yeah.
But that's the whole game, is the guys that look enlightened are the guys that let it roll off their back.
Yeah.
But you don't take a bigger, my big picture, every gig is, how do I get invited back here next year?
Yeah.
That's the whole, so I always have a 365-day view of, like when I'm in West Palm, what was that, the 15th, Matt, of March? No, excuse me, it's St. Petersburg at the Mahafe Theater, March 15th. I'm like, I got to fill this place, otherwise they're not going to invite me back. That's my whole stress about each place.
Yeah.
It's how do you get invited back? If you're going to host the NASCAR Awards, how do you get invited back?
Yeah.
And then sometimes they just, quote, go in another direction, and you're but I did so good, I tried to come back.
Yeah. Or some places you're like, I'm never fucking coming back here.
What name? Give me a place.
Name names. Put your name on it.
There's some shitty clubs out there.
Bone Zone, your hometown, Helium in Philly, great club.
That's a great club.
Yeah.
That is that might be my favorite club in the country.
It really is a bizarrely great room.
It is. They, and I mean, I grew up there, so maybe it's like they just get that sense of humor. They're very thick-skinned. Like they get sarcasm. You never get a groan. You could tell a joke about shitting in a person's mouth and face fucking them or whatever.
Oh.
Well, I don't know where that came from. Why is that the first example that pops out of my...
Because you're talking about groans. What else would you say?
Right, yeah. But you never get a groan. Like, they're never like, come on. And they get sarcasm, and they're thick-skinned, and they have a good sense of humor. And it's a great room physically as well.
Brendon, aren't you obsessed with when the groan come, like you'll talk about fucking a mouth and shitting in someone's face, and then like 10 minutes later you go, then you take your kid into the woods and he breaks his leg, and they're like, oh, and you're like, what the fuck just happened?
That's
It doesn't make sense.
Yeah.
Like I said nothing. I just shit in Whitney Houston's dead mouth, and now all of a sudden, and I always. And now I said my son's in the woods and he broke his leg.
Yeah.
And it's the weird. Doesn't that?
Oh, sometimes it's just like, I'll just go into a bit and people are like, oh, and you're like, wait, what? Well, you're fucking groaning it. What? I didn't even said anything
At least
yet.
at least get to the and final birthday.
Yeah, it's, oh God, that's the
Don't
worst
moan
feeling.
when I'm walking up to the cake shop.
yeah, I know.
You ever buy a cake?
Oh, come on. You're like, oh boy, this is going to be a long fucking 45 minutes.
When my son was 3, I asked him if he wanted to go rent a kayak, and he goes, no. And I'm like, how do you not want to rent a kayak? And this is just like a bit from the book that I realized I haven't done forever. And I realized he doesn't know what a kayak is.
Oh.
Because he's fucking 3. He's never heard of it ever.
Yeah.
And he doesn't understand the concept of renting.
Yeah.
I could have went, you want to get a boat? And he would have went, yeah! And we would have ran out of there like it was Game 7 of the World Series. Yeah. So we get a kayak, and I underestimated the amount of rowing I would be doing, which was all of it. And I'm clipping him in the chin. It's horrible. And he's just sitting there with his stupid helmet and his Mickey Mouse life vest that's too big, and it's up around his head.
Yeah.
And we paddle all the way home. I was renting a place on Huntington Beach, and there's a floating dock in the backyard, and I let him out, and I'm like, all right, let's go return the kayak. And he's like, I don't want to go. And I'm like, you're fucking pussying out on me?
Uh-huh.
And I think I might have actually said that to him. And my wife comes out and she goes, what's going on? And I go, he's totally like bailing on me. And she goes, he's 3.5. Yeah. He doesn't enjoy kayaking. He's not an outrigger. So hot wiring a car. So I got to go back alone, but I don't want to do it because it's too much work. So I'm like, I'll put the kayak in my truck and I'll drive to the kayak place and just drop it off.
Uh-huh.
And I'm like, I can't do that because my truck's at the fucking kayak place.
Oh, yeah.
It's like when you forget the power's out and you just keep going to different alternative electrical. And I'm like, I'll put it on my back. I'll walk up PCH like an ant. Okay, I just go. And I get about 100 yards, Brendon, from the kayak place. And the guy's waving me in because he wants to close. Mm-hmm. And I realize I have a huge problem. I left with a 3-year-old. And now
you're coming back without.
All I got now is Mickey Mouse flip-flops and a life vest. And the guy's like, bring it in. And I actually do like a U-turn, like a big circle, getting my story together. Like, what am I going to say? And I go, well, the kid's home with his stepmom. He's completely healthy. He's eating macaroni and cheese right now watching SpongeBob. Fuck it. So I come in and the guy goes, hey, where's the little guy? And I swear this is a true thing that happened. I go, he didn't listen. And the guy, as he's pulling the kayak, goes, cool. And he just racks the kayak and he goes, and it was like obscenely cheap, like $24. And I go, and I just then I just see the opening and I'm just, killing this guy. I go, $24. That's pretty cheap for what I just did. He goes, yeah, you were out there a while. Like nothing. Like Scott Peterson could have killed everyone in Sacramento instead of his stupid boat that he had. He could have just rented a kayak in Huntington Beach.
Yeah, those guys, they just want to get off work.
You do great art. BrendonWalsh.com.
Yeah.
So we talked about I brought up Triple Threat, not singing and dancing per se, but you make films. You're great Twitter. I don't know if that's an art, but you really are always looking for different avenues of expression. I would like to think.
I like to keep myself busy.
You make comics, you make your paintings. Who's the guy at the beach?
The guy at the beach. Oh,
You're painting.
The one with the.
It started as a David Letterman drawing.
Oh, that one. Oh, yeah. Big Al's Day at the Beach.
Big Al's Day at the Beach.
Those. I put those things on there last year. That's crayon. I bought some construction paper and crayons and was making a bunch of like childish art.
But it doesn't look childish. It looks almost
it's just like working like, it's weird when you're making stuff with crayons and construction paper. It's like, oh yeah, right.
But I didn't even know
this still exists. You can still do this.
I can't draw at all.
Mm-hmm.
So the fact that you have like actual paintings and stuff to me makes you fascinating. Deserve it or not. I'm fascinated that you sculpt like your pornographic little vampire guy.
Oh, is that guy on there too?
Yeah, you want see this?
I haven't looked at my website in a while.
Cartoons, pics, and pranks.
Yeah.
All right, you got Simon Garfunkel, who is the incontinent dancing cheeseburger. It's basically a painting drawing. It's kind of a cross between Daniel Johnston and there's like a little Cy Twombly Basquiat weirdness in there.
Yeah.
The Lost Comb
flyers.
Like that's really Dada and great. That's like super
fun.
Yeah, that's.
I like to just confuse. I mean, I like with that stuff, like hanging up weird flyers around town. That's like